Welcome back to Moving Abroad 222 podcast. I am your host, Ale Washun. And of course, we are back today with another amazing episode. I mean, every episode is amazing, right? But we have an absolute special guest today, and I will allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you again for having me. My name is Chyna Era. I am hailing all the way from Bali, Indonesia. And okay, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to like?
I love it. I love it.
Okay,
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 you in
okay, okay,
you in
okay,
Bali. Okay.
okay. I'm in
Period.
Bali. Period. Am
Okay.
I supposed to be talking about like what I do? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay,
We listen, you good, you
okay,
good.
okay, okay,
Okay,
okay.
so we gonna jump right into it, y'all. You know how we do. We don't like to take too long with jumping into the real raw experience of what life is like abroad. So where are you from originally?
So I'm originally from upstate New York, a place called Poughkeepsie. I was birthed there, raised a little bit of my life, but then the rest of my life I spent pretty much in like the DMV area, like Alexandria and Richmond.
Okay, okay, I love
Yeah.
it. So how many
Mhm.
years has it been since you moved abroad? How long has it been? Your time
So I've
span?
been over here for 3 years now.
3 years. Look at you. You
Yes,
are not
girl.
new to this. You
I'm
are
not,
not
I'm
new
not, I'm
to
not, not. Look, 1 month turned into 3 years. So yes, Mama Bali is definitely home now. We've been here for 3 years.
Wow, I love it. And it's so funny because the experts, quote unquote, they
Uh-huh.
say that people who has not lived abroad more than 1 year cannot give authentic advice, which I don't fully agree with. But just say that you hit the mark. You
Has
hit the
to.
mark. Because they say they claim, people who haven't been abroad long enough to really experience. So 3 years, I feel like that's an amazing amount of time. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of like before, everything hit the fan as far as like with the government and before this became like popular, because I do truly feel like this is like popular right now, like moving abroad, just the theme, the journey, and what comes with it, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to know what life looked like before you took off. What was your life like before you moved abroad?
Life before I moved abroad. Okay, so your girl was living in Northern Virginia, so I was living in Alexandria, and at the time I was a therapist, and I was working for a nonprofit called Smile, and I was serving LGBTQ youth in Washington D.C. And so I did that for about 3 years. So I've been working in the mental health field for 10 plus years now, just working in different sectors in the community, doing things with kids with autism and working in the schools. And I'm also an artist. So I was performing and, doing my poetry and singing and started creating different spaces for Black women and women of color to kind of have healing spaces outside of the actual like therapy office. But yeah, so it was just, just trying to navigate and figure out my way. I have been doing therapy for quite some time. And so being able to create spaces outside of the office
Hmm.
was really important to me because I was always integrating something different with my clients because it was just like you dealing with kids, I'm working with specific age groups. I was just like, what are some of the other things that I can bring into this room that they don't feel like they're just talking to me? So I was doing art therapy, play therapy, we were doing yoga, we were doing sound healing. Yeah. So it was just like integrating a lot of different modalities to introduce them to new things and also give them other ways that they can express themselves if they didn't always feel comfortable coming out straightforward, just saying what was on their mind, even if they didn't have the words sometimes through play or, after doing some yoga or some meditation or grounding, it allowed them to feel more open to be able to express themselves.
I love that. Wow, that is so dope. Okay, so at what point did the thought come in where you were like, okay, I want to switch up the tempo a little bit. I want to see
Yeah.
something new. I want to actually travel and live abroad or move abroad. When did that moment come in? Like, what mindset does a person have to be in to get to that point?
Girl. So around like 2019, 2018, I started doing a lot of traveling. So like going to a lot of different parts of the world. You know how we are. We go to different parts. I'm just like, you know what? I actually think I could live here, y'all. I went, going to different places and being in places that was outside of your hometown. And honestly, like you said, it was something that was taboo for us, specifically for I feel like Black people, where we felt like things that like traveling abroad or living in other places was not something that was specifically geared toward us, like we felt like was out of reach, like out of access. So I started to see a lot of Black women traveling and I was just like, are they living abroad, like is this a thing? and I was intrigued. And I think I was just honestly, I was just in a space where I was just really burnt out from work. During COVID, I was an essential worker. So like I was still going to work, still going to work and also trying to navigate and figure my life out and what was happening, personally for me. And I was just like, I want to do something different. I felt like I was stifled creatively. I wasn't really doing the things that brought me joy in the capacity that I wanted to. And I've also said that I just never wanted to be somebody who was in the office. And I'm like, girl, what you doing in the office? So finding myself just kind of being in a place that I just felt like I didn't want to. And I felt like I wanted to give myself permission to change up the script. Like you can do something different. Like it doesn't have to be what we've been doing. So there was this girl that I was like following on social media and like she was traveling abroad and I had gotten stuck on like Bali. Like I was watching documentaries about Bali. Everybody watched Eat, Pray, Love, of course. So I'm just like, oh my God, I want to go one day and I want to have this amazing experience with like self-discovery. And so the sister I was talking about, she was living in Peru and she was doing a yoga teacher training. And she posted a scholarship for women of color for a yoga teacher training that was going to be happening in Bali. And I was just like, well, I just got my little certification. Maybe I can get another one. So,
Right.
I saw this certification, this application, and I was like, why not? So I applied. And at the time the yoga teacher training was for a month. So I was like, my job was very, very supportive with like anything that I want to do certification wise. Like when I got my yoga teacher certification, like they helped support me with that. So all the things I was just like, maybe they'll let me go abroad for a month, take a little sabbatical, and then I'll come back, like, and everything will be fine. But then I was also like, well, maybe you don't come back. Like, what does that look like? What if we decided that we get to stay abroad, right? And so of course, you're like, girl, you got an independent artist savings account. It's not giving Jay-Z. I don't know if you can make it over there for that long. Like, just all the different things that people are like telling you to prepare for when like moving abroad. So I got into the program. My mom, she does foster care. So like at the time, my dad, he's in the military. He was going on a mission trip to Djibouti in Africa, and it was for a year. And so she was at home by herself. So I was like, I'm gonna get rid of my apartment. I was gonna stay with my mom for a few months before I came to Bali. And I was like, that'll kind of allow me to just figure out what it is exactly that I'm going to do. So it was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was double dutching. Like, okay, we're gonna figure it out. I don't know, maybe yes, no, maybe. Um, and then girl, I left and I got to Bali and so much of myself started to unlock. And I was just like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go back. And I called my job and I was just like, I think I'm going to stay. Like, I think I want to give myself this opportunity to explore and see what I can do. And I was like, I want to host retreats. And I think that this will be the perfect place for me to birth that, being that I felt like I was in a rebirth myself. And so that's what happened. So 1 month and 3 years later, here we are, still in Bali.
Wow, I love that so much. Okay, so you said you got rid of your apartment. Did you sell things? Did you sell any clothes or anything? Did you start over with items when you got there? What did that look like as far as the items that you had? Did you get rid of anything?
So I put a lot of stuff in storage because like I said,
Okay.
originally I thought I was coming back. So
Okay.
I was just like, just 1 month, I put a lot of things in storage. But once I made the decision that I was going to stay, one of my homegirls, she does work where she needed her car. And her car stopped working, and I was just like, girl, you want to buy my car? Like, so I
That
ended up
worked
selling my
out.
car. Yep, that worked itself out. I ended up selling my car to my friend. And at that point, the only thing I had to worry about was my storage unit. And would surprisingly so, which I think is just like an expat thing. For some reason, we hold on to our storage unit for a very long time. So I recently just went home a few months ago and finally got all my stuff out of storage and was just like, let's get rid of this stuff. And most of the things in there, I was like, I don't even know why I was really holding on to this. So everything is gone at this point.
Wow, wow, that
Yeah.
is so dope. You were like, I'm ready. I am ready.
Yes.
I'm not Okay, so out of all the places though, what made you focus solely on Bali besides you said you saw like a show or you
Yeah.
heard something. So like
Yeah.
besides that, what made you know? Like what point did you get to when you were like Bali is it? Like this is where I want to
Mhm.
go, I'm sticking to this because there's so many other places in the world that you could have went. So what made you pick Bali specifically?
Honestly, like I said, I think it was just, I felt like it was just so many different signs, right? Like I had watched Eat, Pray, Love years ago. I saw this one documentary, and then it was just like I started following this other sister who was online, and she was living in Bali and she was building property out here. And so at that point, I was just like, well, let's look into Bali, right? So I started looking into like what does the actual island hold in itself. So if you know, like Bali itself is called the island of the gods, right? And then the actual location I was looking into was called Ubud, and Ubud, and means medicine. So I was just like, okay, things are lining up. Like, it
Okay,
just
come on, share
kind
the
of,
information. You teaching us
okay,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everyone
yeah.
that's
No, I'm gonna teach a little bit.
watching.
I'm gonna teach a little bit.
Yes.
And so it was like all these different things that were lining up. And like I said, I just kind of felt like I was in need of a space where I could truly be in like the medicine of myself, and also
Mm.
being in an environment that nurtured that. So I was just like, the island is called Island of the Gods. The place where I want to go to, it stands for medicine, and then just started looking into that. So I started seeing there was a Black community here. And then the sister that I told you about, that was in Peru, that was doing a teacher training, she used to live in Bali. And so I was doing a financial literacy program. She came on and she was a guest speaker, and she was talking about her experience. So I connected with her. And she was just telling me how healing it was for her and how she ended up getting stuck where she was at. So she was like, I didn't even get to make it back over to Bali because at that time it was COVID. Bali was closing their doors on people. They said, "Yeah, I ain't gonna be coming over here with all that." So it was just like, I felt like it was just like all these things that were like aligned. That was just like everything that I was kind of looking for. And honestly, like once I want somebody to like, once I have my mindset on one thing, I'm just gonna zero in on that. Like, of course, there's other places in the world that I want to visit and spend my time, but like specifically at that time, it was like Bali just kept coming up. So I was just like, I'm just gonna focus on that. And so when that yoga teacher training came up, I was just like, okay, let's just go with it and see what happens. And at that time, I just gave it to God. I was like, if it's meant for me to go, then everything will work itself out. And if not, then, I'll wait and I'll see what else comes up for me from there. But I got that application, I got in. So I was just like, well, I guess I'm out of here.
Wow, you got the application and you got in. That was all so divine for you.
Yes.
It was so divine, especially when you say you kept getting the signs and then you aligned it with what you're seeking. And I always tell people
Yes.
that that's so important. You have to know why you're going to this place and what you're seeking to get when you go to this place, like your experiences and what you're looking to find and
Absolutely.
be able to transmute that. And you're like, hey, I'm healing. I'm
Yes.
also going to, build myself up. Like, I love that. That is beautiful. Okay, so let's unpack life
Okay.
in Bali. So when you got to Bali, how did you go about your housing? Like, how did you find a place that was comfortable for you to stay and live?
So originally, when I came here for the yoga teacher training, everything was taken care of, because we stayed there
Okay.
for a month on this beautiful resort. And then after that, I had actually found this place that was on the same island where I was, and it was like $200 a month, girl. So I was like, okay, okay. So I was like, okay, so living in Bali, I'm gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? $200 a month, I can do that. But
Mhm.
then, so I'm a like if it was like I'm an outdoorsy girl. I'm not a nature girl for real, for real. Like I can be outside, but like I don't want everything touching on me. And so
That's me.
when
That's
I
me. That's me. That's me.
I'm like, please, y'all, I know this is y'all house, but can y'all be easy on me? And so when I was at the resort, girl, I got introduced to geckos and, it was all these mosquitoes. And I was kind of finding out about the outdoor life in Bali, nature and things. And so the
Mhm.
place that I had booked, one of the girls on the resort, she had a housing thing that kind of resembled that. And girl, they had like a snake in their house. I said, so matter of fact, let me go ahead and see if I can cancel this because I'm not gonna be able to stay in there. If snakes can get in there, then I don't need to be in there. So girl, I ended up canceling that. And I ended up, so I was, and at the time where I was staying, it was this island. It was like, well, no, it's not island, but it's a part of Bali called Uluwatu. So Uluwatu is more of the beachy area, the surfers kind of thing or whatever. And so I was like, well, let me just go ahead and make my way to Ubud. And I stayed in Ubud for a few days when I first got to Bali. And then I went to Uluwatu. So I was like, let me just make my way back that way. And I just looked on Airbnb. I looked on Airbnb. I found this guest house. The day that our yoga teacher training was over, the owner, she came and picked me up. Her name is Kadek. And Kadek and her family took me in, and I stayed with them for a year and a half.
Wow, really?
Yes.
That's dope. And I know you
Yeah.
were comfortable. You had to be comfortable. You stayed
Oh,
for a
and I
year.
was, oh, a year and a half, honey. Absolutely. Yes. And it was like, it was simple. Like, it was a room, they had a beautiful pool. It was overlooking the rice field. The family in itself was beautiful. Like, they took me in like I was one of their own. And that definitely helped me too, because I had never traveled abroad by myself. Like coming to Bali was my very first time traveling abroad alone. So being able to be somewhere where I felt safe, like, I didn't have to worry about like nothing, honestly. Like, and I think Bali also just gave me that on its own, but being there with them, they helped me. I was learning the language, they were inviting me to their ceremonies. I was meeting their families. So I was just like, okay, this is home. So I don't need to be nowhere else. I don't need nothing bigger than this. It's just me, and I'll take this.
Wow. So, okay, let's unpack that moment.
Okay.
So, as Americans, so we are not used to things like that. Like
Right.
moving abroad or traveling abroad and staying with the family, right? That's from
Right.
that land. That's very different and very unique. And I feel like in order to experience something like that, you got to be a very open minded person.
Right.
So, what mindset did you have to be in to be open like that? Because, where we're from, they teach us that we can't really trust people. And it's not
Right.
really, community is not a big thing in America, but
Right.
abroad it is. So,
Right.
being able to be invited into this community, and like they're teaching you the language, obviously they're making you feel comfortable. What did that feel like for you?
Girl, it was liberating. It was liberating. It
Mhm.
was revolutionary. It invited me to remind myself that I can trust that where I'm going, that I'm always protected and guided. I'm a big person about community anyway. So like I have a big sisterhood in the States, and so like for me, it was just kind of transitioning to something that I was already used to being able to have.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like foreign to me, right? Other than the fact that I was around foreigners. But like the Balinese also, like just being here, like before that, it's just like they are the most kindest and gentle people that you will ever meet. Girl, I'll be knocked out in the back of the Go Jacks, and my ride is an hour, but I know I'm gonna get there safe. Why y'all ain't gonna bother me? I would
Okay.
never do that in the States. I would never fall asleep in the back of the Uber for an hour drive. I need to be having everything, and I'm also from New York too, so I'm on a swivel at all times. I'm looking around. I need to make sure that everything is everything. You know.
Right, right, right.
Because I'm always trying nothing with me today. But it allowed my nervous system to really feel regulated. Like that's what it felt like. It was just like, you're safe. Like this is home. Like I will be FaceTiming my mother and I'm like, Mom, look, this, look at Kadek, hey Kadek, say hi to my mama. So it was just like my worlds felt integrated, right?
Mm.
And it was just beautiful, and I just felt like the relationship that we had with each other was just um they trusted me because I feel like also like you foreigners, we come and go, expats, coming from staying in these homestays and these guest houses and things like that. But I think also having somebody that's also just like my biggest thing is like if I'm gonna be on these people's land, I want to learn their language. I don't want you every day trying to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, you only speak
Yes,
a little
talk about
language. And I'm just like also like I want to learn your language as well because this is your home and I want to be able to have a relationship with you. Like I don't want it to be this surface level, like, oh thank you, oh thank kind of thing. It's just like, no, like I really wanted to develop a relationship. So I feel like with that awareness, and I think them seeing me really like take the time to like learn how to speak their language and spending time with them really also opened them up that like it became a reciprocal exchange of energy between us of like,
yeah.
okay, like we're cultivating, like a family together. And that's what they became.
Wow, I
Yeah.
love that. So you went
Yeah.
right in community.
Yes.
That's a big thing. 'Cause that's always a question that I ask, but it's like you went right into that. So that's beautiful. I
Mhm.
love it. I love it. So let's go into visas, being able to stay in the
Okay.
country. What was the
Okay.
process of that? Like, did you choose to go with a visa, or what's the requirements for Bali? Could you share that?
Yes. So before I got here, the beautiful thing about my yoga teacher training is that they set us up with all the things that we needed before we came into the country. And so I got what was called like a B11, B12. And so it was like a 6 month visa. So it
Mm,
allowed you to stay in the country for 6 months. Now you could not leave though. So the moment that you left the country while you had that visa, the visa is over and then you would have to apply and get a whole new one. So for the
yeah.
first 6 months that I was here in Bali, I had to stay in Bali, couldn't travel anywhere. I mean, I could have, but after the money that I paid for the visa, I was like, I'm staying. So I that was the first initial visa that I had, and they were a little bit more lenient when I first got here about the different visas that they had because it was still like COVID times. Like they hadn't all the way opened up their borders. The ones that were able, people were able to come in, you had to quarantine, so you had to get like longer stays, and so they weren't necessarily doing what they have, and I think they also have in Thailand, which is like the VOA. So it's like the visa on arrival, and you have that for 30 days, and you can extend it for an additional 30 days. But then after that, you have to leave. Um, but I also knew that I wanted to do business here. Like I wanted to host my retreats. I had just got my yoga certification. So I was like, I want to be able to teach yoga and all these different things. The one thing about Bali is they don't play about their people. So like if you open up something out here, you have to hire Balinese people. I think it's like every 10 people that you have at a business, you can have one expat. And so like most
Wow.
expats, if they do work here, then they're doing like yoga, maybe entertainment, but something in the wellness field. You're not gonna see nobody, waiting on you at a restaurant or like anything like that. So unless, typically the people who own the businesses are like maybe foreigners. So after that, since I knew that I wanted to do retreats and do all the things, I ended up getting what you have is called like a Kitas. And your Kitas is so many different things. So you can have like an investor's Kita. So if you want to invest in a business and like you employ people, but you won't actually be doing the work. And
Mhm.
that's what I originally did. I had one of those. And so like it was for my sister and I, we went and we did in our business together and like doing like yoga and like hosting different events and things like that. And then I got my working Kitas, which allowed me to do sound healing here and teach yoga, and I was performing in Bali. So like all these different things, but they have changed a lot of things. That's another thing too that you have to stay abreast to because they change things all the time. So like, if you want to perform, they have kitas where you can do it for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and it all depends on like honestly financially where you stand and what you'll be able to afford, and knowing that like whatever you invest into with the visa, knowing that like if I invest in this to get this kitas for 2 years, then I know I'll be able to make my money back, with the work that I'm doing out here. So kind of like gauging it in that way. So they have a lot of different ones. You just got to see what works for what it is that you're trying to do while you're here.
Right. So are they pretty expensive or it just depends?
You
They rank.
know, mhm. They were a little less expensive when I got mine the first time. But I think
Okay.
because so many people are coming here in Bali now and wanting to do business and stuff like that, they have definitely gone up on the prices a little bit. Mainly for people who want to like actually work in Bali. But if you want to do like a nomad visa, like just a digital nomad and like, just kind of be here, they're probably ranging from like maybe $200 to 500. So it's not crazy. But like if you want to do one where you're actually working, it's probably going to be like 1,500 to $2,500.
And that's just the raw truth, y'all, okay? Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I get it. You coming
Yeah,
over to
yeah.
our country, we want to make sure you coming over here and about business because people
Okay.
don't always be about business. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? Look, I get it.
Hmm.
I respect it. Okay, so what does healthcare look like in Bali? Or what route did you take specifically as far as for healthcare? Did you keep your healthcare back from the States or did you get some type of travel healthcare? What did that look like?
So originally I got the travel insurance because that's what they recommended to us when I first came over here. So I kept that
Okay.
for probably like the first 2 years that I was here. But once I got my Kitas, when you get a Kitas here, you can get about the Balinese insurance. So like what the
Okay.
locals technically have, you can have that insurance as well. And then they have different package deals for like whatever you see fit that you need. I did raw dog for maybe like 3 months. I was like, oh, I'm fine. But then I was just like, girl, you don't want to be nowhere without no insurance. We
Smart.
don't like to play like that. Okay. So yeah, so I got my kids, but yeah, so I know like a lot of people they just do like the travel expat insurances because I know that they have like a lot of different agencies and stuff like that where they can do that. But if you have a Kitas, it's cheaper and also you'll have access to better services and healthcare if you do it that way.
Better services. Wow, I love that.
Mhm.
I love how they
Mhm.
do have different things to assist people based on their
Yeah.
needs. I do like that. It's a variety. I like
Yes.
that.
Yes. 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 Is it
I
the
like
same like that over in Thailand?
it is. It just depends because
Okay.
it's a lot going on over here.
Right.
It's a lot going on. It's one of the most popular tourist attractions in the
Yes.
world right now.
Yes.
So it's a lot going on, but they buckling
Yes.
down though, and that's why I say I
Okay.
respect it because people get to these countries and most of the times they BSing. So I
Mm-hmm.
get why they implement these laws and why the prices are going up. Okay, because like
Mm-hmm.
I had to. for me, I'm paying for me and 3 children, so that's 4 people.
Right.
Everything I
Right.
pay for is always pricey. Thank God I
Right.
can afford it, but I get it. I get it because people are not doing what needs to be done on these
Right.
people's land. So I get it. I respect it. I love it though because I feel like I think they set it high like that for a reason too because they feel like maybe if you can afford it, you about business. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? If you
Right.
can't
Right.
afford it, you don't need to be here.
Right.
Double
Right.
back, right? So, okay, I love that. I love that. Okay, so to everyone watching, there are a variety of options because people always like to know like about the healthcare.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that I interview, sometimes like they like you say, they'll go some time without it and then eventually they'll get it. Or sometimes people don't have it at all. And it's all based on what you can
Yeah.
afford, guys, and what you truly feel like fits you. Because, we can all do only what we can do, right?
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. And I
So
think with that too is just like understanding, like even out here, like one thing about the Balinese though, when it comes to like healthcare is like if you don't have healthcare and something happens and you have to go to the doctor, be prepared to pay out of pocket. And that all depends on like what it is that you need. Like if you need to go to the doctor, some things can be like, very cost effective, but if you get to like a
mhm.
bike accident or like something actually happens, it's gonna cost you, and they not gonna service you until you have the money to be able to pay for whatever it is that you
Thanks for
need.
clarifying that. Thanks for
Yeah,
clarifying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I was like, let me say that now. Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
that's
People need to
important to
know.
know. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if y'all
So
not
y'all
get no
hear that.
insurance, have your money saved up just in case something does happen and you need to be able to take care of yourself.
Okay, so do you know any insurances that you could probably share that might be a good one for people to tap into if they were looking to get some?
Honestly, I don't know any off the top of my head right now because I'm using
Okay.
the Balinese insurance, but I can share some with you and maybe I don't know, like when we share
Yeah, I can share them.
the live,
Okay.
yeah, you can share
Okay,
them.
cool. Okay, yeah. You don't have to know them right now, but I just
Okay,
was thinking, like, when we
okay.
off the dome, because people gonna ask, they're gonna be like, "What
Yes, they
about
are.
these?"
Yes.
I like to hit the questions. Okay, so as far as sustaining over there financially, because that's like a big deal with this journey. People always ask, "Well, how are you guys making money? How are you doing this?" You obviously explain what it is that you do, but like
Yeah.
as far as like before you really got deep into that, did you have an idea of what you were gonna do in order to sustain abroad? Did you have like a savings, or did you just was like, listen, I got my mind made
Right.
up. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to this training, and then I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna build.
Right, girl. So yeah, so I had a savings, like I said in the beginning, like it wasn't sitting on Jay-Z. It was like an independent artist, fresh in the game kind of situation. So like, because at the time living in America, it's just like between bills and saving and all the things, but definitely had a nice cushion. So I was like, okay, you can float like a year. Like I said, like it's gonna give a year, and then after that, you need to start figuring out. Before that, matter of fact, you need to start figuring out how we're gonna get some additional money coming in. But yeah, it was definitely like a leap of faith. And it was just like I felt like God was pushing me in the direction to be able to do it. And I'm just a firm believer in like God is gonna work it out, like and not off no
Absolutely,
like irresponsibly, God is gonna work it out. But like I know that I put myself in a position to be able to bring to pass whatever it is that like my life is like walking me towards right now. So coincidentally enough, I had one of my girlfriends that I met out here. She was working online and they were hiring. And so I started working for that maybe like the fifth month that I was here, and I was doing all that online for like maybe 5 or 6 months. And then they lost some of their clients and stuff. So they let some people go. So it was like, okay, back to, just kind of living off the savings thing again. And then like, my business started happening. So I've hosted retreats out here. So mainly that's where a lot of my income has been coming from, my retreats.
that's such a
And
blessing.
it's a blessing. And also, sis, what I'm saying? It's a little challenging. I literally is talking to some of my sisters who are also living abroad and we're like hosting retreats and things like that because the premise of it also, it really is that like nobody ever really wants to put so much pressure on their business to be their bread and butter for everything. Right. So like if there are certain things that I would know, if I would have known then that I know now, it's just like, girl, I would have had some other income. Right. I might have got some real estate before I left and had some Airbnb properties or like all these different like passive incomes that would have been able to float by, like things that I don't have to do do to have money just coming in. So like everything that I do requires me to be of service. Like I physically have to be there, from my coaching, from my retreats to my sound healing. So like everything is me. Like I have to be
Mhm.
there to be able to do it. So that's, I think, where it's just like it gets a little tiring, because it's just like, okay, like we got to figure out something else. And so I think that's kind of like where I am in like the pivoting space of like, I love what I do, and also I don't want to put the pressure on this part of my business. Like I need to sell this out, I need to do this, you know, to be able to get this money, because we got to pay for this. So like that's just kind of where I've been recently. It's just like the pivot, like, and change happens. So it's just like beautifully being able to be here for 3 years, and also like foundation wise, what can we start to set up so that we can have some like stream of money coming in, that we ain't really got to touch nothing, and it'll just be there.
I love it. I love it. So share with us
Yeah,
more
yeah.
about your business and everything. So you say you do sound healing, you're doing the retreats. How did that feel when you did your first retreat? Like that is such a blessing to be able to walk away from like corporate work life and then be able to do
Yeah,
something that you truly dreamed of doing, right? And being able
yeah,
to like
yeah.
provide those services for women and just provide healing for others. What did that feel like when you first started?
Girl, I'm a Pisces and I'm a Cancer moon, so I be crying. So I
Oh, I
was
love it.
very emotional. I was emotional. It was so much gratitude, like, you know, because it was just something that I had dreamed of, right? Manifested. And like, you know, you think sometimes like when we have dreams and we have ideas and we don't necessarily know if we can make it happen. And so like
Right.
literally the day that like everything was like coming together, like, and I did my first retreat at the guest house that I was staying at. So like the family was all hands on deck. And so they were doing the mandalas and, you know, getting the girls' rooms together and just making the property so beautiful. And I was just like, once it was like, you know, we were finished, I just was crying, because I was just like, God, thank you. Like, thank you so much for believing in me, for choosing me to do this thing, because I don't take it lightly for holding space for women, because I know that we have so many different circumstances that we move through throughout our life. And so being able to truly be able to just be of service, right? Because I'm like, I'm just a vessel. Like everything else is God. Like, you know, like absolutely, you know, I'm bringing my wisdom and my guidance, but I'm just like, but it's not me. Like, you know, and so having my first one, and I tell people all the time, like my first one, girl, I had 5 people, 4 of the people was my friends. You know, and so like having people who believed in me, right? Because like I was new to it.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about marketing and branding and like all these different things. Like girl, I was learning as I went. I'm like picking up mentors as I go, and you know, watching YouTube videos and trying to take these free classes. So it was literally like a learning curve like the entire way through in the beginning. And still now to this day, like, you know, there's still different things that I'm like, okay, now we should do this differently. Like, okay, we've done it like this. Like, how can we, you know, so like it's just been a very like a learning process, right? Like switching from something that was like where I'm working for somebody else, and then also like creating the business for myself and like believing in the vision. And so it's been a journey, but so blessed and so very
You
grateful. You
are,
know, it's
you
opened up
are.
so many. Thank you,
Wow,
sis.
that is
Like
so
it
beautiful
really
to have. Wow, girl, like your story
has.
is just so like it was made just for you. It
Yeah,
literally like it was written just to have the
yeah.
family assist you. Like, do you hear that? Listen, you got to replay that in your head sometimes, I'm
I
sure,
know.
because that is like the universe was
Yeah,
backing you 100%. Like you were fully on track
absolutely.
just to have that support. A lot of people don't get that. And then you said, you know, your first few people were like your friends and stuff, but still, just the fact that they believed and they came and they
Yeah,
attended and they supported, that was beautiful. Look, I was getting
yeah.
emotional, like, oh my God, I love that. Because I can't, like, I can't say anything, like, that's nothing much more than alignment. That's just alignment and purpose.
Absolutely.
I love it so much. I
Absolutely.
love that for you.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah,
so
thank you
let's
for
get
this.
into the mindset that a person has to have maintaining living abroad and being away from friends and family. Because, you know, we
Okay.
go through those modes sometimes where we might get a little lonely, people call it. I mean, I guess I don't really feel that because I got kids. So when
That's for
people say
kids,
that, I
right?
be like, lonely? Mm, I'm trying to be
Yeah,
lonely
yeah, yeah.
sometimes.
Right.
But what does that look like maintaining your mindset and just maintaining your journey and being away from the familiarity of family and friends?
Um, Well, honestly, I will say that when the first year that I was here, I was definitely homesick. Definitely around the holidays, right? I was just like, I miss my family, like, like they were all together, and I was just like, this is different for me, right? Because
Mhm.
like, I think it's different being in the States, and, I might have spent time with like my friends and stuff on the holidays and like knowing your family is there, but it's completely different being like miles away. And honestly, in the beginning, like I said, like I had the community of the people that I was staying with, but I didn't have a lot of community of like other expats. Like I had like one real good friend, my sister Akia. Like I was hanging with her all the time. I was like meeting people, but it wasn't given the tribe that I was used to having.
Mm,
But I honestly felt like that was the season that I needed to be in because obviously when we're doing that inner work, it's easy for us to get distracted, right? So it's just like, oh, let me call and let me go outside and let me do this. So I felt like God was truly like, I need you to sit down right now, right? Like this is this thing that you're trying to birth and create. And so I need you to be able to really dive deeper into the relationship that you have with yourself. And this time you can just devote yourself to China because I'm a big sister, right? So I have 6 brothers and sisters on my mama's side. My daddy got 10
wow.
kids, right? Like I've always been, I don't know if you like your older daughter or not, but like I've been the oldest. I've been an adult before I was an adult. You know what I'm saying? So that I had like a lot of responsibility. So it was like this was the first time that like truly ain't nobody calling you to do nothing, right? Like the only
Right.
person that's calling you to take some time for you is you. And like I didn't know how to do that. So it was the first time that I felt like I was being able to just be for a second. Like you don't have to be not a
Yeah.
title, not this, not that. Even in my job, being a therapist, like none of that is required. The only thing you got to require yourself to do is just be here. So like honestly, after I kind of moved through the emotions of like not being with my family around the holidays, like it honestly for me personally was a relief. Like it was just kind of like I miss y'all and I love y'all, but I think I need this time to myself, right? And then like, I'm just like, and I'll visit, right? My brother graduated from school, I think a year after I had been here. So I went home and it felt good to be around them again. And also like, when you have your family has its challenges and stuff like that. So like being able to be removed from that for some time. And then when you have to go back into certain dynamics, being able to have a different outlook and a different perspective and a different control on
Yes.
yourself, because we can't change other people, but we can definitely do the work on ourselves. So that when we reintegrate into these relationships, it's just like, okay, I know how to handle this because I know how to handle me. I may not be able to do nothing about what
Come
you got
on.
going on over there, but honey, one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my peace. And that's my
Yes.
biggest thing. I'm preserving my peace at all times. So it's obviously, and then after a while, like I did create a beautiful community here. So we were having, big Christmas dinners together and coming together, when things were happening because things happen at home, right? Like I've had friends and I who loved ones had passed away, right? And we can't immediately get on a plane and go home. So like having to deal with our grief here. And, so like it's being able to have that was very important to me too. And I'm also just like, I'm very intentional about the people that I meet and the relationships that I build. So I'm just like, it has to be in alignment, right? Like we gotta be, and we can't just be friends because we look the same or, what I'm saying, or we at this party together. Like we
I know
truly have
that's
to be
right.
in a space of like, okay, a space of alignment with where we are, our values and stuff like that. So that was important, and it gifted me that opportunity too, because a lot of the friends that I had were friends that I was friends with since I was like 12 or like in high school. And so you think about why you became friends with people. We were in the same class. We were, all these different things. And as you are evolving, things start to look differently, right? And I just felt like I was just doing a complete pruning, like no bye, bone. And I'm just like, okay, wait, hold on, wait a minute, And so I've been friends with them for a long time, Jesus, wait. And so, just so kind of being in that space where I felt like the work and the love and the tending that I was doing to myself was starting to be reflected in the people that were surrounding me. And that was beautiful for me. So it was just like, I'm not missing anything, right? Like, of course, physically, I would like to be there for the moments. Like my little sister, that's my little baby. And so, like, I'm like, she's getting big, and I'm all the way over here. But like, also, like, she knows what her big sister is doing and she thinks I'm famous, y'all. So she'd be like, is the paparazzi
Period.
finding you out there when you in Bali? I'm like, girl, the paparazzi was outside the house last night looking for me. She was like, oh my God, did I? I was like, girl, you gotta look. So like, having these moments where it's just like being able to see your sister doing things that like they said we couldn't do, you know what I'm saying? And knowing like, so when I bring her around, when I do go home and I'm, having photo shoots or bring her around my sisterhood, like that is the legacy, So I'm just like, so what I'm doing is not going in vain. Like maybe I'm not there for all the small moments, but like I know that I'm doing something important, and that's what really keeps me grounded.
Wow, I love that. And that takes us into the next question. Wow, I love
Okay.
that. Definitely legacy all day because I feel like that will
Yes.
inspire her. to
Yeah,
do things out of the norm because somebody in the family got to
absolutely.
do it. Somebody has
Okay.
to show everybody else that we can do something different. We don't have to stick to what we've been told that we have to do for the rest of our lives. So I love that you the blueprint. You the blueprint.
That's wrong.
So that takes us into our next question. What do you do to
Okay.
maintain and to stay grounded mentally? Just living abroad and being on this spiritual journey, because I really truly
Yeah.
will continue to say forever that moving abroad is a spiritual journey because it is, regardless if people refer to it as that or not, it is. So what do you do? What's a
Yes.
regular day in a life for Chyna to stay grounded, self-love, self-care?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's like you said, it is definitely a spiritual journey, especially being here because it's an island. So it's easy to start acting like, girl, you ain't got no responsibility. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
now, okay, this your job now, okay? You on the clock, so I have to remind
Right.
remind myself. But honestly, like for me, I have to have a routine because I'm just I can be all the way over here and all things. I'm like, girl, we got to have a routine. So my morning
Okay.
routine is definitely what keeps me grounded. So like, waking up in the morning, I'm getting up like 5 or 6 in the morning. I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm doing my journaling, anything with movement, because with anything that we experience, a lot of things live in our body. So like being able to make sure that the first thing that I'm doing in the morning is just allowing like, okay, let's open up the energy. Like, because sometimes the dream world be a little crazy and then you be waking up and you'll be a little off kilter. And I'm like,
Yes,
okay, wait a minute, not
indeed.
today, dude. Not today. So, so doing that, recently, probably for the past couple of months, I have been intermittent fasting. So like I don't eat anything. It's probably about 11 to 12 o'clock in the
Okay.
afternoon. So
I love it.
I'm a coconut water girl. Damn. Okay. I love me some coconut water. I don't really even drink regular water no more. I'm like, that's regular water. Y'all got coconut water around here? I don't drink that. So
Listen to that accent
I
though. I'm
definitely,
cracking up. That's
yes.
regular water.
So I, drink coconut water in the morning. I might have some fruit, and then in the evening I have like some lunch, but like work. So I try to set a time frame because before I was just working all day. Because like I'm also like I'm sitting around, kind of lounging, working, get up, kind of thing. So I'm like, let's just set some hours, some like some strict hours where like we're sitting down, we're doing some work, and then you can be creative for the rest of the day. Because that was another thing. I was so engulfed in like making my business work that like it was business, business, business all the time, that I wasn't doing the
Mhm.
things which is like writing music or being in my own practice. I'm like, the only time you play your sound bowls now, girls, when you play for everybody else, when you gonna play your sound bowls for you. So it's just like, so those things. So I have like strict hours during the day where I'm doing my work, and then for the rest of the evening I'm doing some creative stuff. During the evening times, my people at home, they getting up, so they calling me and I'm like, y'all got 1 to 2 hours
Okay.
between 7 and 9, and
Hmm.
then don't call me no more. Don't call me no more because I
Okay.
need to start winding down for the evening. Okay, so for my evenings, I'm journaling, I'm reading, doing a little bit of meditation, and then I'm calling it in the night. So that's typically what like one of my regular days look like. I do have like I teach a class on every Monday, and then sometimes I'm performing throughout the week, kind of dependent. So like my schedule kind of varies depending on what I have to do, but mainly I try to keep it like that. And also, one of the biggest things now, what I've been doing is in the morning, I go on an hour walk without my phone. Um, I went on a retreat recently, girl, for 7 days. They took my phone the entire time that I was there. And I didn't realize how addicted I was to my phone, girl. When I got there, they was like, okay, take your phone. I said, wait a minute. I thought we had a few hours. I didn't know y'all was taking it when I first got here. And
Wow.
so, being without my phone and like just being able to truly be present and experience, the retreat in itself. And I was not hosting it. I was just a participant. And that was big for me too, because I'm typically just always holding space. So reminding myself, like, you also need to be fed into too, China. Like,
Yes,
it's not always
absolutely.
just about you holding space all the time. You can say, being the oldest daughter, I got this. I don't need nobody. And it's like, yes, you do. Say, I need some help. I would like, kind of thing. So going in the morning, I have like my hour of presence. I take a walk, just up and down the street, and I just allow myself to be present. I leave my phone in my room, and then I come back, and then I dive into my day. So those are important for me too.
I love
Mhm,
that. I
mhm,
hope that
mhm.
everybody that's watching, you could take some tips because I think
Yes, yes.
that I think I need to do that. Taking a break from my phone.
Yeah,
It's so hard when my business is on my phone. So sometimes I'll be using that as an excuse, like, well, I got
yeah,
all this that I have to do. I got to do this and do this.
right.
But taking a break from that phone, that's needed. That
It
sounds like
really
a go.
is.
That sounds like a
Yes,
go. I
give
need to.
yourself
I
permission. I
take.
know you, like you say, business, and now you got the babies and stuff too. But if you can just whenever you can find wherever you carve your me time out, definitely just taking a minute from your phone. Cause I'd be like, it's gonna be there. Like I can have a minute to
Exactly.
myself because I know that like if we don't do that for ourselves and we gonna be in the business rushing, got an attitude because we ain't take no time away from the phone. And also when I came back from the retreat, girl, immediately I'm on that phone, I'm scrolling, I'm on because I'm a TikTok. I've been on TikTok laughing it up on TikTok. And I was just like, put the phone down.
Come on, put the phone
Put
down.
it
Say, I
down.
missed you. I missed you.
Yes, right.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay,
Yeah.
so give us a pro and a con for living abroad. One pro, one con.
Okay. Okay. One pro, one con. Okay. One pro I would definitely say is getting out of what you're used to. I think that living abroad definitely challenge you a lot to grow. Especially because we know America like the back of our hand. If you move to a new state, it's easy to, map that out, kind of figure out where you at, know the
Mhm.
lay of the lands. But like it definitely pushes you to challenge yourself with, learning different languages, and they don't got street signs everywhere how we got at home. So, like just navigating different parts. So I think that that's a pro. I think it challenges you, it pushes you, it allows you to go past what you limit yourself on,
Mhm.
like, so I feel like it opens you up to be just a person that's just like everything, like the world is your oyster, truly, right? Like living abroad, like it really allows you to be like, okay, anything is possible. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I can say is a pro. A con, I mean, okay, I ain't gonna hold you because I like to eat. You know what I'm saying? And so there's sometimes, y'all, you ain't gonna find the seasons that you need, to cook the food that you want, all the ingredients for some of the things that you want. And that's the thing for you, like some people like they eat out all the time, but I like to cook, right? So sometimes not being able to have access to all the seasons or certain ingredients that I need for certain recipes can be a con if you make it, right? Or you can improvise and do. But sometimes it's just like
Absolutely.
if I can find that one Scotch bonnet pepper and this for that, then I would be able to make this jerk chicken the way that I'm normally used to making it. So like that could be something, but like, yeah, I think that's the only thing I can think of. But then you can also have people that come and visit or, to send you the seasoning. So, it kind of works itself out, but that's the
Okay,
only thing
okay.
I can think of right now.
That kind not bad at all. I like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and then we could try
Okay.
out new things. I think that it forces us to try new things, and that's the whole point. Being open minded, being open
Yes.
to change and growth. If you can't find your seasoning, baby, go in there and find some seasoning that you can use, that
Okay.
you can
Okay.
like. Try something different. Switch up the tempo.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Yes.
So if someone came to you and they were like, "Hey, China, I'm looking to move abroad," what would be three things that you would tell them that they should do in order to start and maintain that journey? If they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about moving abroad. Could you assist me? Could you inspire me?" What are three valid, important tips that you would give that soul?
Okay, number one, I would definitely say do your research. Wherever it is that you want to go, make sure that you're doing your research about where it is that you want to be. Do your research about the housing, do your research about the laws that they have there, do your research about the visas, the neighborhoods, check into the communities. Like all of that is so very important because I tell people all the time, it's one thing to see things online, but it's a completely different thing when you actually get here. And
Right.
there's so many other things that you want to know about for the place that you're like uprooting your life and going somewhere else. So definitely do your research on the location that you want to go to. I would say as it relates to money, I definitely think that it's important. I know people are just like, oh, I didn't have and I had, and that may work for some people, but like certain people having a certain amount of stability allows them their nervous system to be regulated and for them to truly enjoy the
Absolutely.
experience abroad. So I don't want to encourage everybody to be like, girl, you can like $500 account, go tomorrow, it's gonna work itself out. No, because then you're gonna be stressed about the money. So like, sis, I want you to have a good experience. So like truly sit down and think about what it is that you want to experience while you're there. Like, are you just a homebody and you just going to the beach and eating every now and again? You might be able to float with a little something, something. But if you want to be able to travel to different neighboring countries and do excursions and do all kinds of things, you want to have a cushion and also live in something that's to your standards because that also looks different locally from where you're living at, right? Like the locals may think that this, you might be like, I need a luxury building. I need these amenities, So like those that'll also kind of go into your research. So research, finances, um, What's the third thing that I would say? And I would say have an open mind. I would think that's like that's big for me. Just having an open mind about where you're going, knowing that you're not going. This is not the United States of America. Wherever you're going to is going to be a different country. I feel like sometimes our people can go to different places and they don't know how to speak English and they don't got this over here and they don't. And it's just like leave that at home. Leave that at home. Go over there with an open mind. Allow yourself to be open to the possibilities, to the experiences that you're gonna have. Um, yeah, and don't be so closed-minded to what you're used to having and to what you think things are supposed to be. Like, be okay with the pivots, be okay with the new experiences, be okay. And also knowing that you're going, so the same way that like people are coming into America and we want to, you not all the time we are is nice, but like they are also coming into a new world, right? And like, so like the same thing for you, like you're coming into a new world, be welcome and be open to meeting the people, like, and that's being open-minded and connecting with the people, connect with the people. Like, the people where you are choosing to relocate to, that's going to be so very important. And I promise it will make for such a culturally immersive experience. Like it will really, really support like what you're experiencing while you're there, connecting with the people. Don't just be so Western in everything you do as it relates to the
Right.
food, the things that you're doing. Like really, really connect with the people, right? Learn their language, even just a little bit. Even if you can just say, "Hey, how you doing?" Like that means a lot to them. Like when I meet Balinese people and I start speaking in their language, and they be like, "You speak Balinese?" I'm like, "Sit back and sit back, and I can do a little something, something," And so it really changes the energy between you because they're just like, okay, this is once again like somebody who's in our land, but also has respect for our culture and wants to know me just as much as I would like to get to know them because they're gonna ask you about yourself. So I think those are kind of three things that I can think of right now that I would probably encourage somebody to do or no.
And those were great. I love that, especially mindset, because it's like that's the key of it. And that's what I teach, like the
Yes.
neuroscience and the
Yeah.
psychology. Because we could say all day what we want to do, but if that mind is not in order, baby, you're going to backtrack, you're going to go back, and then you're going to feel like you're failing. And then it's just a train of things that comes after that. So I think that those were very powerful. And for anybody that's watching, that's the advice. You guys always ask
Yeah.
what tips. And I think that those were good, especially finances. Okay. When you spoke about
Yes.
having some money so that your nervous system can be at ease, listen, I wanted to clap on that one
Yes.
because when you have to come and be in that mode of not feeling safe, you're taking the same energy from the
Yes.
States and you're bringing it to that new
Yes.
location because you're not
Yes.
at ease. So
Yes.
that was
Yes.
powerful. At least have you a couple of
Yes.
dollars so
Yeah.
that you can know that you're relaxed, because I see a lot of people online
Yeah.
that they are abroad and they're struggling, not putting nobody on the front, but I see this often and they'll be in different
Yeah.
groups or different
Yeah.
situations and they'll be like, hey, y'all, can I get some assistance? I'm out here, no family, no.
Yeah.
And I don't want anybody to ever have to be that person because I know how uncomfortable that can
Yes.
be to
Absolutely.
have to put yourself in that space and say,
Yeah.
I'm in need, right? And then I'm the type of person that feel like I always want to help people, but sometimes I'm like, no, we got to allow people to figure it out because they have to learn from experience that there are a certain way that you have to navigate your life. You can't just be out here living willy nilly.
Yeah.
Do a little planning, do a little
Right.
research,
And
right?
just like what you said. Right. It's just the idea of like bringing that energy of survival because that's what it is, like the survival energy. And it's just like you don't want to be in a survival energy living abroad. Like it's just it does not feel good. Like it does not feel good. You don't want to feel like, oh, now I can't experience and like I'm doing all these different things and trying to figure out housing and all this different stuff. So when I experience people where I'm like, baby, go back home. Cause I'm just like, and I think that's an idea that some people when they have that, it's just like I failed. Because even in the beginning, when I was just like, how are we going to figure this out financially? And it's just like, oh, I don't want to go back home. And everybody's like, you're in Bali, you're doing great things. And it's just like, okay, but it's just like, but if you have to go home, or if you're not able to do the things that you wanted to do while you were there, be grateful for the opportunity that you had. And if you did it once, you can do it again. This time you have it with a better understanding and more wisdom.
I love it. I hope y'all
Yes.
listening. Now that was
Yeah.
powerful. So for anybody who do have to backtrack and go back if you have to, that's okay. Nobody's judging you but you, baby. Okay? So we can do
Yep.
hard
There you
things.
go.
We can do hard things. So China, where can we find you? Because you give us some social media tags, a website, some type of information where everyone can find you.
Yes. So my social media is my name, Chyna Tierra. My website is She Remembers Wellness. And so that is where you can book me for one-on-one coaching. You can find my retreats. I'm also a postpartum doula. So if we have any new mommies out there that's looking for any services, I have that on there. And yeah, and if you want to bring me to wherever you are, do a little sound healing, so host a retreat or whatever, we can have a little consultation and you can book me on that too. So she remembers wellness.com. China Tierra on Instagram, and then you can go on the link, and then you can find all the things there. And then I also have a YouTube channel called Sonic Sanctuary, and that is where you can find all of my sound healing that I do online.
Wow, I love that. So make sure you guys are following. I'm also gonna drop the tags, okay, in the description
Okay.
so you guys can follow. Thank you so much. Like, I feel like this episode was
Thank
so therapeutic.
you.
This is why I love what I do, because I feel like every time I engage and I listen, I'm just able to learn. It's so humbling. And I just love to see how aligned people are. And it just keeps reminding me on how good God
Yeah.
is. It reminds me daily to stay in gratitude when I can see how aligned other people
Yeah.
are, and that other people are blessed
Yeah.
abroad and they're thriving abroad, and that we can do hard things, right? And we can do different things. We can switch it up and live better lives of quality. So I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, my love. Truly, this was amazing. I'm grateful to you. Thank you for creating this platform for us to be able to come and share our experiences and be mirrors to each other and reflect on our journeys, because this is also very pivotal and important as well. So just encouraging, empowering you to keep doing what you do. And thank you again. And yeah, so this was exciting.
I appreciate it. Look, I got a little sentimental throughout a couple
Of
parts.
course.
This was definitely lovely.
Yeah.
I appreciate it a lot. So for everyone that's watching, make sure you guys catch us every Thursday. New episode, new energy, new guests. Moving Abroad 222 podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, engage, follow us on all platforms. I love y'all, and we'll see y'all next Thursday. Peace.